All right.
Here we go again.
Here comes some 80s hairband Chris Lyons special.
And we're going to be mixing it up, you know. I mean, Mike's got this really good friend named Suno.
Yeah, this is my new fun AI tool called Suno, where you can create your own. Chris and Mike D, you can create your own theme music. I think I'm just going to walk around with like a giant jam box on my ear playing my own personal theme music when I walk around the AAOS floor. That's
absolutely. Hey, the jam boxes are coming back, man. I mean, I'm telling you.
You and I are both the men of a certain age to remember those days.
Absolutely. It was the only way to roll.
All right.
I think everybody's going to memorize this song before the year's out. That's my prediction.
Oh, we just have too much fun with that. It's just so silly. So if you're listening and you have some other ideas of theme type music, like do we want to do, kind of an 80s old school rap, or maybe, some fun R&B, or maybe
a little
country and Western, maybe like some Texas swing. You can do that. We're doing that. So you don't want to miss an episode.
So when are we going to release the actual album of all of our songs for the Chris and Mike D MedTech Jam session?
That's a good point. I guess I would say stay tuned. There's going to be a huge event.
I'm thinking vinyl.
Yeah. We'll probably have our own show at the Vegas Sphere. We're so big
now. Oh, let's go there, bud. Dream big.
All right. So we have another amazing guest today. We love it when we can talk with founders who are also clinicians, who are surgeons, because we talk about being in the arena a lot. They're literally in the arena, taking care of patients, seeing firsthand the problems that exist, the lack of solutions that are out there, the problems that need to be solved. And it's inspiring to see a clinician who doesn't just complain about it, or maybe knocks on the door of a strategic and says, hey, I've got this idea, but just decides on his or her own, like, I'm just going to build this. Nobody else is going to figure this out. It's just going to have to be on me.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're super excited to have Oke Anakwenze joining us from SutureTech.
There he is.
There he is. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Morning.
Absolutely. You
Yeah,
can feel the energy, man. You can feel the energy.
Well, yeah, after that intro and the jam session, I mean, I'm pumped up. Let's go.
Well, okay. Your company's name is SutureTech.
Correct.
Give us the genesis story. Where did the concept come from? Where did the idea come from? Take us all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah, well, I think, I think the beginning is just, a guy who wanted to make some sort of difference, some sort of impact. That was always my big thing. Even as a kid, the parents sacrificed a lot. So I was always trying to make an impact. And then, got through my medical training, finished my fellowship at Columbia, and then got into practice. And, I had a sort of a slow practice to begin with. I didn't really initially get the job that I wanted. So I was sort of out in California. I was running my own practice. I was digging my heels in. And, on the side, I had a little bit of time. And I started thinking about what else I could do with my time. And I was looking at rotator cuffs, and, that seemed to be a bit of a problem to me. I was very deep into the research. I knew that the re-tear rates were pretty high, and everyone was sort of trying to either solve it or come up with a theory as to why they don't heal as well. And this time, SCR, superior capsular reconstructions of the shoulder for massive rotator cuffs, were sort of turning into a popular thing to do. It was very technical. And my second year of practice, sort of a third year of practice, I did a SCR case, took about 4 hours. And I went home and I said, okay, this cannot happen again. And I just went back to a first principles approach. I said, well, what's the easiest way I could think of to repair a tendon or a ligament to a bone? And I just kept thinking about it. And knowing that all the work is really done by the body, and thinking that all you have to do is sort of get a tendon down to the bone and let the body do the rest, I started thinking about SutureTech, which was an idea to simplify tendon repairs and also potentially improve healing. When you're a young surgeon, it's always harder, and you're always sort of struggling, even if you think you're the best. I had really great training, but things were just taking a long time. You get better with the years, you get more experience, your hands get stronger, but still there's significant room for inefficiency. So I was doing that in private practice while I was running a surgical center that I founded, raised about 3 million for that. I was doing that on the side, and then, got recruited to Duke, North Carolina, which is where I then continued my clinical practice, came in as the chief of shoulder surgery, and really took my clinical job extremely seriously. I consider myself first and foremost a surgeon. And being a surgeon I'm not in the military, but maybe it's like a very strong calling. And for me, it's a very deep thing. And, I'm a shoulder nerd. When I was going into shoulder and I met with Bill Levine, Columbia, I just said, for this year, I want to live in the shoulder. I want to know everything there is to know in this world of the shoulder. And I use that deep knowledge to try to transfer it to my technology. So got to Duke, kept working on SutureTech on the side. This thing initially was like a metal staple with some barbs. We went through a bunch of different iterations. There was a design. I went back to business school to learn some business and try to learn about entrepreneurship, which was my focus in business school. I went to UCLA. And then we finally sort of settled on an early prototype, which obviously wasn't metal because I was taking the field backwards. And once we settled on a prototype, and this was probably 6 or so years after the initial idea, then we started, pressing forward. We're taking the prototype to the next level of, the dimensions, testing the fixation, work with Core, as you know. An interesting story about Core is, they were the first people I talked to like 12 years ago. We're all younger. I guess we were sort of middle-aged now. And we sort of lost touch for 6-7 years. And then I came back, when we were ready with the prototype, I came back to Core and said, all right, this is what we want to do. And they helped us build the instrumentation, helped us streamline the product and make it, usable, and helped us with the quality system, the regulatory. And we got our, FDA clearance in September of last year. And, proud to say that we did that on, $2 million of funding. I have to say, I wasn't working as a full-time founder, but I invested a lot of my own savings into this company. I'm not a really rich surgeon, but I invested a lot because I believed in it. I woke up one day as I was sort of asking people to invest, and they were investing. And I just said, if you're not really putting your own skin in the game, people might not take you seriously. And I also really believed in it.
That's true.
Myself and a number of surgeons and 1 or 2 distributors made the initial investment. And we got the FDA clearance with that. And we're currently planning our limited market release right now. I hope and anticipate our first case would be in early February. We're onboarding multiple sites right now. We have about 10 to 12 sites we're currently working on onboarding. We've got our product, raising money as always, and thinking about the future as well. So we have some plans to sort of build out our product line, but staying focused. Our limited market release is going to be on the shoulder, the rotated cuffs, and then it's also going to be in the knee. We have a product that's a multi-joint product. So LETs is a surgery of the knee that we'll be focusing on, and the rotated cuffs in the shoulder.
Nice.
Well, congratulations on being so capital efficient. That's been, I think, one of the themes of all the companies that we've interviewed over the last 12 months is that the need in today's environment to be capital efficient is essential for survival. So to get to the stage you have reached with $2 million of funding is wow, super impressive.
And the time that you've taken relative from the FDA clearance to now and what you've been able to accomplish is really solid.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I'm curious to know, how are you so the rotator cuff repair space seems a little crowded. A lot of people looking at it. It's a big problem to solve, and a lot of smart people are looking at it. How are you solving it uniquely? What is it about the SutureTech solution that makes yours unique, differentiated, superior, better, faster? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, how I like to look at it is, what I'm trying to do is create a new category. So in terms of a competitor analysis, yes, we're sort of competing with suture anchors, but we're creating a new category of repairs with what we call, technically it's called a dual anchor mattress system because it's a system that has 2 anchors in one. Then it's the mattress over the top. So it looks like it's a staple. So creating a new sort of all suture staple category. And we want to be the market leaders in this category. I think some of the benefits that we have over regular suture anchors are, one, it's a 3-step process to repair soft tissue. We've done a lot of work and tabulating time, and different techniques use different steps. But on average, I think we're about at least 60% fewer steps than the typical implants.
Nice.
And also, we have a larger surface area of tissue contact with repair because it's a mattress, which I have an example here to show. So we think we have better footprint contact. These are some of just the biomechanical things that are important for healing. Footprint contact, more even compression, fewer gaps, because it just sits flat on the tendon. So it's quicker. Our initial biomechanical testing, at least compared to our predicate commercial available device, so that ours is a lot stronger. With efficiency, you can save time. With the biomechanical repair, we postulate that you might be able to improve repairs, potentially decrease re-tear rates. We're doing a lot of studies right now with Bill Walsh in Australia, some animal studies. So we sort of getting back to you on that. Also, just the versatility, with one tool, it's pretty user-friendly. But with this same one tool, you can do a lot of things, whether it's fixing the rotator cuff up here or your subscapularis in the front. You can use it for certain instability type of surgeries in the back. There's a big market opportunity for graft fixation. More and more companies want to come out with grafts, especially grafts that have thickness. We have a way to easily fix the graft to the bone. So versatility, improve repair, improve efficiency. Those are 3 big categories. And within those fall some smaller advantages.
Hi, everybody. Mike Donahue here. As a medtech leader, you know how important it is to hit the ground running when your new product clears FDA. You need to quickly align and equip your field sales team with training, customer targeting, sales assets, and operational resources that will maximize revenue and traction. Well, at Convey Med, we have the app for that. Convey Connect is the mobile-first launch operating system that ensures your field team is clinically confident, culturally aligned, and operationally efficient from day one. With your customized, white-labeled Convey Connect app, your reps can train on the go, access agentic AI to identify ideal customer targets, query AI agents to provide intelligent answers to clinical and technical questions from your customers, communicate and engage with both company leadership as well as your teammates in the field, and then just so much more. So if you are interested in learning more about Convey Connect, go to our website, conveymed.io, where you can book a demo and we'd be happy to take you through the app. And now back to the show.
So when you guys were first bringing this to fruition, how many iterations do you feel like you guys went through relative to not just the implant, but the instrumentation technique?
From the start?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Because I think it's good for everyone to hear that journey.
Oh, man. At least 10. At least 10, And I think the key is, as I look back, and at least for me personally, the key is to kind of iterate somewhat quickly. Don't spend so much money trying to prove a bad idea out. Like really set some well-defined metrics for what success looks like. Obviously what we call the inputs or whatever. So, set your metrics. So for me, there were many opportunities to go beyond the scope of what I was focused on, make it easier by making more steps or making it bigger, things like that. But I just said, okay, I know what I wanted to look like. We kept trying to iterate. And because of the ability to make something like this small enough to be used in the rotator cuff arthroscopically, that was very challenging. And there was a lot of pressure to sort of go outside that box or make it more complicated. But yeah, different iterations, getting a lot of feedback. That was also very smart. Some of the best feedback I got were from some surgeons who saw some early designs. And I remember one surgeon literally told me that's stupid. And so
we've been told that before many times.
He said, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?"
He said, "That's stupid. You're trying to take us back 10 years." And I said, "Okay." I hear you a lot. So you're not going to use it, right?
So you're saying I've got a chance.
Not a chance. So yeah, a lot of iterations on the implant side and on the instrumentation deployment side. The implant was hard, and the instrumentation might have even been harder, even though it seemed like a secondary thing.
Right.
Well, I think it's not something that's often done well or appropriately. I guess appropriately may be the wrong term in medical device, but it's the idea of rapid iteration and failing fast. But you still have to do that within the context of a proper QMS. And I think what you said was very helpful to other founders. Don't go chasing a bad idea. Fail fast. Figure out what's the critical, value proposition you're trying to achieve, and fail fast. And then once you hit it, then you can but go into the proper FDA regulated systematic process that is required to bring it to market. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I was very hands-on. I think that's another way to say
that's critical,
is by being very personally invested. I was weaving things by myself at home. I was suturing things. I get grades from some manufacturers that send it to me for free. We would, I'll take a lighter and heat tip the ends of the braids. Well, I don't want to give away all the secrets, but I was, as a surgeon, I was at home. Weaving and, just being very involved with the process. Yeah. Sorry, Chris, go on. You had a question.
No, I was going to ask, for your limited launch kit, are we talking fully disposable?
Yeah, it's fully disposable. I think there are advantages and disadvantages. There's certainly more advantages to having it fully disposable. And currently just one SKU in the kit, or currently making a second SKU right now.
Nice.
And we're just going to build out. So, we may end up having multiple kits. We're launching in the knee for LETs, launching the shoulder for rotator cuffs. We may have a LET kit and end up having like a rotator cuff kit. And, we have some plans for the ankle as well.
Yeah.
That's a little later, but all disposable.
Okay, great.
Well, I think the manufacturing technology is starting to catch up such that you can make a single-use disposable instrument set nearly as robust as something that may have been, reusable. Because that's always been the tension, right? In my experience, we tried to do that. This was going back 5, 7, 10 years ago even. And I don't think the platform technologies were there yet to be able to create robust enough instruments to do the job. And I think now those, whether it's 3D printing or whatever, injection molding, different types of manufacturing techniques have facilitated what you're doing with a single use.
Exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right, Mike. Yeah, completely agree. And I think one other thing is cost. I think
that's a good point too. Yeah,
being able to make a fully disposable kit, but keeping cost constraints on mind. Potentially if it's non-disposable, you can get some instruments that are obviously seem cheaper. So fully disposable with good quality, strong enough, but also trying to manage your cost so that you can be competitive with the market.
Percentage wise, without scale just yet, where are you at from a gross margin
on the product?
Yeah,
currently, as you just alluded to, I think with scale the costs come down. But right now, initially, it's about a 55 to 58% margin. Right now.
Yeah, it's a good start. It's a good start.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're right. You should be able to get to that north of 70-ish, pushing 80. I would be willing to bet.
Sure.
Tell us about the limited market release plans. Okay, what are you trying to achieve in the? You have FDA approval, first case coming up next month, hopefully. How many cases are you looking to do with how many surgeons? What are you measuring? What are you testing? And where do you go from there?
Yeah. So first of all, we anticipate about 80 to 90% margin at scale. I just wanted to add that. But in terms of the LMR, what we're trying to achieve is there are two ways. Well, there are more than 2 ways, but there are 2 main ways that I know is you can just hit the market and try to just go straight to your national sales. I think that's fine. And maybe that's more appropriate for Me Too products, things like that. But what we're doing, something that's very novel and very different. We want to control the early users, and we're going to have about 6 surgeons on the shoulder side, about 6 surgeons on the knee side. We want to test the product. We want to see how it performs. We want to collect data. That's a very big one. We want to start collecting data for the product. You don't have to do research is what I'm learning, but I'm a very systematic kind of person and I just like to check all the boxes. So we want to collect data for research. We want to see if we have to make any sort of iterations, part of our budget, a lot of tools and implants, as you guys know, iterations are not common after the initial product. So we don't see that coming, but if we have to tweak or change something, we want to do that before the full scale commercial launch. So that's the LMR. Test the product, build data, get product feedback, iterate, tweak anything if we have to. And then Q2, Q3 of next year, probably Q3, get into a full scale commercial launch.
Also, 27, Q2 27.
Q3 of 26 is what we're hoping for to start getting to the commercial phase. So it's I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's ambitious?
I think it's realistic. I mean, the key is going to be the speed at which the procedures are coming in, starting in February, and the data points you're able to pull off of that, whatever iterative might have to happen or not. And I think one of the big things, and it's smart, Oke, is being able to have that data so that those that are selling and getting behind your technology have got that power to promote it based on that data.
Right.
I think it's huge. And I think a lot of folks don't do enough of that on the front end because they go, well, I'm a 510K product. Well, you're sort of kind of short circuiting yourself if you don't take that opportunity, which I think is great that you're going to.
Well, you're going to need it for value analysis too.
Totally.
They're going to say, well, show me the data. Is it safe? Is it effective? Is it better? Why are you asking me to pay more? Or why are you asking me to stock something new?
Yeah,
that's a challenge you may not face in your LMR, but those are data points that you may want to collect. How many weeks post-op are you looking to capture data?
So for the observational study, that's sort of a 1-year follow-up study. That's just standard for rotator cuffs. But in terms of knowing how we feel about the product being usable, I think by 6 months of data, we should certainly know that. I mean, first of all is, how does it perform in the OR? That's easy to figure out. And then how does it perform post-op at a gross level? And I think you'll know by 6 months because, with rotator cuffs, after 6 months, things still change, but the rate of failure and things like that doesn't change so significantly after 6 months. So I think by 6 months, we have a sense of how they're doing, knowing if it's safe. But the full data collection will be for 1 year. And we have a data collection company that we're going to work with to help us collect the data remotely from patients. So it's clean quality data.
Nice. So you mentioned Bill down under. As it relates to the data coming out of Australia, I mean, it's becoming a beachhead, for a lot of organizations relative to what can be gathered, the time frame it can be gathered in. Are you going to have an ability to pull that into your data pool?
Yes, that's the goal. My timeline was to start animal research Q4 of 26. So we sort of beat that by a year because we started sort of working on this in November of 25. So they're going to go hand in hand. And I think with Bill, I look at Bill like, I don't get mad if he hears this. I look at him like a mad scientist, a mad genius. And his brain, I mean, he knows so much about shoulder. It's very impressive. I went to his lab in Sydney and he has such deep knowledge. So he's helping to develop a pipeline of research together.
Nice. Yep.
And I told him, we want to create a story. Like I said, this is a new category. There's really nothing like this. We're not putting an anchor in the body and then passing sutures through and then tying it down. We're sort of stapling this thing and coming down on it. And we need to show just from the basics, how does it deploy? How does it look? How does it react to the bone? How does it react under the bone? How do tendons react to it? So hopefully we have a series of animal studies coming out as well as some clinical observational studies coming out. And that's what I learned from the MTI, MedTech Innovator Accelerator. There were a lot of non-ortho companies and ortho companies. And, one thing I took from being around so many like cardiac companies and neuro companies, Alzheimer's, this and that, was just the importance of data. That it seemed slightly more important for certain specialties than it was in the ortho space for startups.
They take it a lot
where
more seriously. They really do.
they take it a lot more seriously. And I don't know that we need to take it that seriously, but just even from an ethical standpoint, it's yes, you want to make money, but there's also an ethical component to it.
Yep.
I think it's important to just sort of test it out, get the data, get the feedback, and make. At the end of the day, for me, this whole thing started not with thinking about an exit. I didn't even know what an exit meant in this capacity when I started. I just started because I wanted to sort of try to make it better, and I wanted to make some sort of impact. And I also thought we had an opportunity to do something good. So,
and I think that's the right mindset too, right? Is go build a business, It's going to prove itself out. You're going to get the attention by default in the strategic realm. Okay. And everybody wins. I think that is the best approach. And I was glad to hear you say that, because that really matters, that mindset of go build and the rest will come.
correct. Yeah.
Okay, what last question, unless there's more. What advice would you have for other physician founders? Or let's say this, what advice would you have for physicians who have ideas to move those ideas to the next level? Have you been asked that question by some of your colleagues? Hey, I have this cool idea.
Yeah, I have. I could talk for an hour about that, but I should probably just write it down and get it all together. But I think, one is you have to try to understand the difference between a good idea and a valuable idea. So if a physician is asking me a question about, I want to do this, and I see it happening now where they'll say, I'm thinking about doing this. And there's an idea like, okay, I want to make just a screw that is, instead of, it being formula in increments is 2. Well, that's maybe a good idea, but it's not a valuable idea. So if you're trying to create a business, learn about value creation, which sounds simple, and it is simple. But you have to understand what is value to the end user or to the strategic. So, okay, find what is a valuable idea. To his mindset, this is a very humbling thing to do. It's a very humbling journey. And if you're a surgeon whose ego is so big that you find it hard listening to people tell you no, or not returning your call, or, getting negative feedback, it's going to be very tough for you. And I'm lucky I started this early in my career because, I don't think I have an ego now. I certainly didn't have one then. But you have to be ready for just the challenges and the naysayers and just a tough environment. 3 is you have to be willing to sacrifice. You're busy, doctors are busy, but this thing cannot happen on its own. You just have to find a way to really commit to it somehow, hopefully without affecting your health, because, taking on this can be a full-time thing, plus your full-time career. You have to find time for it. And then last 2 things would be that, find partners early, learn as much as you can from others, sort of know what you don't know. There's so many people who have helped me along the way. When I say a lot of people have helped me literally, okay, this is what a utility patent is, which is a provisional patent. This is what a prototype looks like. This is what design freeze means. You have to just keep learning and surround yourself with people. And lastly, this is the one that, I'm still realize, it's that it's hard. It's very hard. I don't know if it's as hard as being a surgeon or not, but it's harder in the sense of there's no book to read.
There's no secret formula.
Yeah, where if you're going to be a surgeon, you go to med school, you go to residency, maybe you go to fellowship, you get a job, and it's written out for you. With this, there's no formula.
No.
It's very hard. It's very emotionally sort of challenging, but it's also extremely rewarding. I don't think there's anything I've done that's as rewarding as this, just the ability to sort of improve how we do things. So
I love it. And I'll tell you, to that point, I've known a lot of surgeons over the years of being in this industry, 37 now, that they might have had a great idea, but they weren't willing to relinquish the day-to-day practice. And so then when they get to the point to where they feel like they're ready to go to market, it's a hard pitch to make when we're talking to investors, when we're talking to strategics, and we say, yeah, the company was founded in 2002.
23
Brother, that happens a lot more than I think folks realize. And it's coming into it like you've done and counting the cost making the decisions on the front end, making them quick, and deciding this is where I'm going to put my stake in the ground, like you've done, and let's go make something big happen. So I applaud you on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
For sure. You go.
Was that at the Masters last year, that clap right there?
We had a more of a soft, clap appropriate for the Masters during the Masters. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we did an episode where it was literally during the Masters. I think I might.
Really?
I probably would have had it on over here on my other computer watching it while during the podcast, but
That's hilarious.
that would be on brand for me.
Will you be at Academy?
I will. I'll be at
Okay.
Academy.
Is it premature to expect a booth, or what are you thinking?
Well, we've discussed that internally, and initially we we're going to have a booth, but I think that we're probably just going to focus on having a bunch of strategic meetings.
Yep.
We may or may not do, but probably may do something with Core. They have a booth.
Yeah.
But we're going to focus on meetings.
Yeah.
And we want to be modern in the way we're thinking. We don't want to just go down a traditional marketing approach. We want to be high yield in terms of what we're doing.
You will have
And
high yield. Making that focus B2B like that, there's more guys that do that now than ever before in history. Just look at the exhibitor map for the Academy and see how many open booths there are.
There you go. That's a sign. And
it is definitely telltale.
Yeah, it'll be
I
a shame
know.
to see.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
I'll be
hopefully
there.
we can see you there. Okay, we'd love to catch
Absolutely.
up, get an update,
Absolutely.
and yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining. Thanks for hanging out with me and Chris, and we will see you at the Academy.
You got
Good
it.
luck with the procedures as you come out, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna want to
Thank
get
you.
an update on that for sure.
Yeah. We'll have some info on that at the Academy, so I'll fill you guys in.
Sweet.
Sounds great.
We
All
will
right,
see
thanks
you
for joining,
there.
everybody. Please
Bye.
like, subscribe, add the MedTech Jam session to your podcast library. Chris and I will see you on the other side.
Got it.
Peace out.
All right, guys.